Okay, Nick and Andy, now let's focus on what we learned about the US men's national team and the most recent international break. After some positive results and performances, it feels nice to talk about that given some of the struggles in recent windows. I mean, Nick, draw against Ecuador, beat Australia. What did we learn, mate? Because I feel like we're getting a bit closer now. Obviously, always getting closer to the World Cup next summer, but we're getting a bit closer to seeing what a US team under Pochettino should look like.
Yeah, I want to say that I learned things that reinforced my hopes. They reinforced what I believed could happen. And that is that when the better the players that get called in, the better the US looks. And that's nothing against anybody. I think when you say things like that, sometimes it gets read as that you're taking a shot at MLS that's not the case, because honestly, and credit to Pochettino, Christian Roldan, who has almost never impressed me in a US shirt, has looked like a man reborn. He looked born in the first place. And so what I've learned is that when the United States men's national team added Mauricio Pochettino, the hope was that you had an in his prime manager who was going to take that approach and apply it to the team. And right now it looks that way. I feel like I know their best front four. The fact that I know that they can approach a game now with a back three or a back four, and I won't hate it either way, feels great. And I like that finally, suddenly, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, for the first time ever, I've kind of circled like, well, now I can focus on a couple of positions that worry me, because it wasn't, does the team have the right attitude or are they good enough? Now it's, in goal, and what are they doing at fullback? And that is a good feeling.
Yeah, it's much better than where they were at, right, Andy? I mean, Pochettino needed these displays more than anything else. Just a 90-minute performance, yes, some good results, but kind of just builds confidence in his project, the way they're going. So I think we can all just like exhale a bit and say this is going to be okay. There's still a while to go before the World Cup. But this was big for him, right? Because there were just murmurings and a lot of discontent amongst the fan base. But it's a weird time. There's no real, competitive games for a long time now. So he has to try new things. He has to try different things, but also not get too far away from what he's all about. And I feel like that balance, he's struck it now.
Yeah, it's amazing what a little 3-game unbeaten run and friendlies will do to just kind of pull you back in 8-9 months before the World Cup. I kind of felt myself drifting away from this team and thinking, yeah, whatever, we're going to host the World Cup. It's kind of a lost opportunity, not just for the sport, but for, I don't know, I guess thinking of it in my own terms, our generation of American soccer fans, this is kind of what we have, we grew up in a time either right before the 1994 World Cup being hosted here in the U.S. Or right after. And, I didn't get to have that experience in 94. And so this was the one that we've been looking to for so long. And just the disinterest that I think had been bred by this team over the last couple of years with no qualification, no meaningful games, it was kind of hard to slog through some of it. And so I'm happy to be back at this point. When you lose your previous 3 games outside of CONCACAF by a combined 8-1, I do think it'll kill a little bit of morale. I think Nick is right as well about the defense. I really like the back 3. I don't think that we at the current moment have a pair of center backs or even 2 individuals whose strength is playing in a back 4. Tim Ream, bless him, glad he's still around. I want to see him with an extra center back there, so he's covering less space. He's not pulled out quite as much as he would be in a back 4. And I don't think we have the wide attacking players that actually stay wide and stretch the field in the final third either, so it makes sense to go with the wing backs who are going to provide the width. And if you don't exactly know who your best right back is, and if your best left back hasn't been in the team and actually played meaningful minutes in over a year, you got questions there as well. So I just think it fixes a handful of problems that this team has and makes them better at both ends of the field.
And Nick, when we look forward in terms of both ends of the field and players that, weren't even in these camps but could come back next month and beyond, there's a lot of talent, right? I mean, Tyler Adams was missing due to personal reasons. Cardosa, Dest, Sargent, Pepe, Pulisic didn't play a huge part in this due to injuries. So all of a sudden, the squad looks a lot stronger. And now, like you and Andy said, they have that clear kind of identity. We're not worried about the effort on them not pulling in the same direction. Now we're about to see just how deep that squad is and how competitive it can get. And there's a lot of players that can still come into this lineup, but a lot of players that are probably a bit concerned now, like, hey, I want to get back into this setup and nail down my spot for the World Cup next summer.
Yeah, and we might feel differently in a month because Uruguay and Paraguay are both teams that can challenge you. But at the moment, I am feeling very positive on the gamble that Pochettino took in unsettling some of the key players. Like, you can say what you want. He made pointed comments about how these trips aren't about golfing. He made and that seemed to be aimed at maybe like a Weston McKennie or something, right? And then he made pointed comments that some people took to be very on the nose about Christian Pulisic. And Pulisic now has watched a front four succeed without him. Now, there is no question. I mean, he is in perhaps the best form of anyone in Serie A, right? So that matters quite a bit in terms of attackers. But no one can feel really, truly comfortable in their spot right now. And, they're like, to me, the front four is almost settled. Like, I almost cannot imagine, if they're playing a front four, I can almost not imagine that Tillman, Weah, Pulisic, and of course I'm blanking on one, which probably isn't.
You got a center forward.
Oh, Balogun. Sorry. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Those guys are in. Like, if the game matters, those guys are in. And frankly, I think it's worth discussing at some point, maybe not today. Malik Tillman looks as influential. Like, he's got an edge. There's a little bit of Dempsey to him. And I'm really excited to see how far he can continue to grow, because he looks great in the Bundesliga right now.
Yeah, he does look great. And Andy, it should be a great test coming up next in November. Uruguay and Paraguay. Seems like it's a step up in terms of, again, can we get more of these superstars for the US all together at the same time? I think Anthony Robinson and others, get them all in the same and get the strongest starting lineup. That would be something, right, to finish out the year in November against two very strong teams from South America. And then just give some confidence and momentum going into 6-7 months from a home World Cup. I'm really looking forward to those games to kind of judge this team on truly where they're at.
Yeah, two South American teams going to be at the World Cup as well, and anybody that comes out of South American qualifying, you got to tip your hat to them because that's just it's an absolute gauntlet down there. Yeah, I love the challenge of those two teams. I think the only thing I would love more, because you guys are both right, there is a lot of talent coming back, and Pochettino has built this depth through this cycle, and I think we should give him credit for it. I kind of want to see a couple of intra-squad games with World Cup roster spots on the line for some of these guys, because, whether it's starting spot, whether it's a roster spot, there are players who have come in difficult times, Max Arston being one of them, with Anthony Robinson out for most of Pochettino's tenure, I think at this point. He might end up getting left out if everybody gets healthy. And he played such a big part of this cycle and helping the team progress at this point. If we can't do that, then Uruguay and Paraguay, I think, going to be pretty good competition. I think give us a real idea of, fingers crossed, we do get everybody back healthy for next month, of where the actual first team is at as we, round the final corner and look at the World Cup next summer.
Yeah, I love that intra-squad idea, Andy. I feel like US Soccer, if you're listening, live stream it somewhere. A lot of people would watch that and get really involved in that conversation. But it's great to have a positive conversation about the US men's national team after a really good October international window. And let's see how they get on moving forward. And we'll keep you updated on Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com with all the latest from Mauricio Pochettino's side as we keep building up to the 2026 World Cup on home soil.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.